What is up, you freaky folks? My name is Nick. Welcome to my channel. Whatever you're watching, I'm making videos about. And if you're new here, every month I make lists of recommendations for all of our favorite streaming services. And I am so late on getting this Hulu video out. I am sure you all have just been sitting there salivating, waiting on my personal recommendations. I can just feel it. Honestly, I thought I was gonna be such hot shit with this list. If I actually had gotten this video out on time, I was gonna be all, look how great my taste in film is. But, you know, here we are. So I'm sure you've all discovered these on your own by now, but let's talk about them anyway. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do so. That way you stay up to date with what to watch and where to watch it. You know, when I'm actually up to date.
Beautiful morning, sisters.
Hey, don't fucking talk to us. Now get the fuck out of here.
Number 10 is The Little Hours. This raunchy comedy is set in the Middle Ages, and it's about a man played by Dave Franco who is on the run. He comes across a convent where a group of repressed nuns are ready to bust out of their shells. This movie is silly and over the top. It is loosely based on an old Italian story called the Decameron, but it's really its own thing. It's basically nuns gone wild, and I know this might not be everyone's brand of comedy, but Aubrey Plaza playing a nun dropping a ton of F-bombs is definitely something I needed in my life.
Filthy conversation,
Mind your own fucking business.
lustfulness, homosexuality.
It's too tight.
Did you roll your eyes?
No.
You were rolling your eyes.
Number 9 is Alone. This survival thriller is about a woman who is moving cross country when she encounters a weird-ass dude who is obviously a serial killer. When he gets all murdery, our protagonist must use every skill in the book to survive in the wilderness and escape Faux Bundy's clutches. I love a good survival thriller, you know, when you have someone stuck out in the woods and they've got to use like a stick and some leaves to make a splint. I love that ingenuity. This is a pretty stripped to the bone, very simple kind of movie, but it's the perfect pick if you're looking for an old school thrill.
Do you live nearby?
No, not really.
Where are you going?
I'm headed north.
Number 8 is Our Idiot Brother. This delightful comedy stars Paul Rudd as a good-natured slacker who is forced to turn his life around after being charged with marijuana possession. With the help of his 3 sisters, this lovable idiot goes through the typical movie journey of learning about life, love, and everything in between. I love this little gem. It is so sweet and funny without getting too sentimental, and it features a stacked cast including Elizabeth Banks and Zooey Deschanel, and everyone is used to play up their strengths. It is so good. I love to see it. If this movie managed to slip under your radar, I definitely recommend fixing that immediately.
Listen, Ned, you wouldn't happen to know where I can get some, Even if I did, do you really think I'd tell you? It's been a hard week. Yeah? Yeah. Here you go, officer. Hey, thanks, man. Wow.
Hey, I'm Ned.
Number 7 is Save Yourselves. This satirical sci-fi comedy stars Sunita Mani and John Reynolds as a Brooklyn-based couple who decide to spend a week in a cabin in the woods to unplug from their phones. Unaware of what's going on in the world, the two are surprised to find the world ending right before their eyes. This is a fun little premise that is totally made by the chemistry of the leads. While I'm not fully on board with the message of the movie, I see where the filmmakers are coming from. But for anyone who is sick of me recommending old movies all the time, well, this one's for you. I did it. I found a new one. I know.
No laptops, no phones, no connecting to anything. Thank you.
Number 6 is Terminator Dark Fate, the 6th installment in the mostly disappointing franchise. This reboot ignores the bad ones and follows the events of Judgment Day as Sarah Connor tries to protect a woman with the help of Terminators both old and new. I know this movie is quite divisive, and I agree that it isn't perfect, but Terminator 3 was the first Terminator film that I saw, so I guess the bar was set pretty low. While the story in this one does fall flat to me, the action is awesome, and Mackenzie Davis is such a badass. I wish she would get her own spin-off franchise. We should really start a petition to make that happen, and by that I mean you do it and I'll sign it.
I know you're scared, but I'm here to protect you.
Never seen one like you before.
almost human.
I am human.
Number 5 is Gretel and Hansel. This fantasy horror film is a new take on the classic fairy tale. Sophia Lillis plays Gretel, who leads her younger brother Hansel through a dark wood where they come across an evil witch in a cabin full of delectable treats. I have to talk about how stupid I think it was that dudes freaked out over the title change for this film. A lot of horror films have a female lead, and it's all about witches, so it makes perfect sense for this movie to focus on Gretel, and the title reflects the story, so I don't really see what the problem is. Although I have to admit, I am not a huge fan of this movie personally. I didn't really care for it when I saw it in theaters a year ago, and after rewatching it, I still don't think it's all that great. But I know a lot of other people like it, and it is beautiful to look at. I could easily have this playing in the background all the time, so decide for yourself and watch it while it's available on Hulu.
Careful with that, dear. I'd hate for you to start something you can't stop.
Number 4 is Spree, another new one. You're welcome. This comedy crime thriller stars Joe Keery as a desperate streamer who uses his job as a rideshare driver to try and go viral. Unfortunately for his passengers, his plan involves increasingly dangerous behavior. I don't want to say a whole lot about this one. In fact, I'm withholding the main hook of the film because I went into it pretty blind, and I'm hoping everyone else has that same great viewing experience. But after watching it, I have to say, I think Joe Keery is so much more than the hare from Stranger Things. He nails playing this loser who has lost it. And Sashir Zamata does a great job as a passenger he comes across. They're both doing different things, but they're so good and they're dynamic together. I just loved it. So if you happen to be into stuff that manages to balance being both funny and disturbing, give it a watch and let me know what you think.
Hey, I don't see any cops around. Should I blow this next one?
Number 3 is Hounds of Love. This Australian dramatic thriller is about a teenage girl who is kidnapped by a couple right off the suburban streets. The girl uses the unhinged dynamic between the couple against them as she fights her way to survival. Director Ben Young said that this was based off of a few different true crime events, but the premise very clearly mirrors the Morehouse murders that occurred in the late 1980s. And I think this is a very smart film that does not at all feel cheap or exploitative. In fact, it's exactly what I think any movie should do that is based off of a true crime event. Keep the story, change the names, make it its own thing. I'm going to give you the obvious warnings that this movie deals with disturbing content, but I will say it is not graphic in the way that you might think it is. It is still rough, but also kind of beautiful and totally worth a watch.
He doesn't love you. He just uses you.
Number 2 is A Simple Favor. This dark comedy stars Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively as two suburban women who bond shortly before Lively's character disappears. Kendrick sets out to find her best friend and in the process learns she knows nothing about her. I kind of think of this as a parody of Gone Girl. This was another major surprise to me, which is why I can't stop recommending it. Sorry, but I think that Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively just kill it in these roles. It's kind of a specific sort of dark comedy. If you're into bitchy comedies, as I like to recommend often, then you might want to set up a watch party, pour some wine, pop the popcorn, and have a good time.
Want to trade confessions?
No.
Come on. What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
She is an enigma, my wife. You can get closer. You can never quite reach her. She's like a beautiful ghost.
Number 1 is Eyes Wide Shut, the last film directed by Stanley Kubrick. This drama stars Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman as a New York City couple hitting a bump in their relationship. The husband heads out on the town for a night of adventure, which leads to a disturbing reveal. I feel like this might be a controversial pick, even ignoring all of the gratuitous nudity in the film. There are problematic elements that definitely do not hold up. I mean, it's kind of like, who thought that would be a good idea at all, ever? Why? I don't know. I have to admit, I love this movie. I just do. I find it to be a very interesting unfolding of events that lead to a very wild conclusion. And part of me feels like everyone knows the ending of this movie. You know what happens. And part of me also thinks this movie is so old that maybe no one knows what's even going on in this movie. So I don't want to get into that. But, oh, this movie it goes places. It really does. Maybe look into it before giving it a watch. And now it's time for my bad movie recommendation of the month, because I have to. Body of Evidence is an erotic thriller starring Madonna as a woman who is accused of murdering her lover. Willem Dafoe plays the attorney defending her in court, who of course starts having sex with her all over the place. In case I haven't mentioned it in a minute, erotic thrillers make up one of my cinematic sweet spots, which is probably why I appreciate Eyes Wide Shut so much, but I also love a sleazy piece of shit like Body of Evidence. I mean, it stars Madonna. I think you can pick up what I'm putting down.
Have you ever seen animals make love, Frank? It's intense. It's violent.
We're not animals.
Yes, we are.
Let me quickly point out, if you are watching this at the time that it is posted, thank you, you are the best. I want to point out 2 movies that are leaving at the end of the month, and by that I mean in like 2 days, so whoops. Ingrid Goes West and The Final Girls, 2 comedies I love. I wanted to include them in this list, but here we are at the end of the month already, so, and this leads right into the part where I tell you to subscribe to my channel and turn on your notifications. That way I actually show up in your feed. You can also follow me on Instagram, where you can send me all of your requests. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it as always. Give it a big thumbs up if you want to see more What to Watch videos here on the channel. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.